One interesting thing that also happened this weekend was the fact that the league management, the NFF has inaugurated the Interim Management Committee that will take on the affairs of our football league. What's your opinion on this?
Okay, again, let me just say this, and this is my own
opinion.
What's it called? What I got from that list.
Okay.
I saw a name there which inspires me. Because everything boils down to leadership. Because if you continue putting the wrong pegs in the right post, you're not going to get it right. I saw somebody like a Cardinal Points, who, yes, is Nigerian, but he's based here and abroad, and he understands best practices. So those are the kind of people we need in those kind of meetings. We don't need the same set of people who have been managing this thing for 20, 30 years. We need new ideas. We need new people. We need people with inspiration. We need people with ideas to join and make this league better. So for me, looking at that list and saying such a name, and I saw Umumi, I saw Elegbele, so I'm praying that they allow these ideas that they will bring up to ferment so that we'll have a better league. That's what I can just say right now.
2 cardinal points, if you had to give them what they need to do to make sure that they do things effectively from your own expert point of view.
Yes. Then 2 things quickly. First things first, if we put all the matches on television, it's going to almost reduce drastically, almost by 2/3, the kind of corruption that we see in our games, almost immediately. Because all the referees know that they will be assessed, that they are under the microscope, they will be assessed.
Okay. Before go on, Jide. Jide, I'm listening.
So the second one is the issue of referees. If we pay the referees well, like I said, and you add TV to it, we're going to have more exciting games, and anybody will be able to win anywhere. Immediately we put everything on that same footing. When teams know that they can go and win anywhere, the league just becomes more exciting.
Yeah, as a football coach, Joseph,
yes.
Jide, I'm coming on to you now. As a football coach, Joseph, what do you think are the cardinal points? You mentioned referee and as the second one. What's your opinion so that we can have something similar to the EPL in Nigerian League?
Yes, the problem we have is that there is no adequate preparation in place. The challenge we are always having in our EPL is the fact that the NFF failed to make sure that the league is up to standard. Imagine Nigerian teams going as far as North African, and we are always coming back home without anything. So the system must be in place. The system must be working perfectly, and the players need to be paid as at when due. The referees need to have a proper refereeing system. If all these systems are in proper place, are put in proper places, Nigerian league will be doing better than this.
So you think they should just how about referee? You as a football coach, referee has always been one area of our football league that's not been doing so well. What do you think they need to do about refereeing in the country?
Yes, I think education is one of the key things. Most of our referees need to be educated on how to go about the game. You see, the other day we made mention of Nigerian referees not participating in World Stage. It is very bad for a country like Nigeria not to have referees in World Cup, not to have referees in African Nation Cups, not to have referees where they ought to be. So if we don't educate our referees on the standard of the game, we will still remain where we are. And that is the major problem the leagues is always facing. Refereeing system is bad. The management is not up to expectation. The players are not being paid very well. The system is poor. And if this is not addressed, Nigerian league will remain the way it is. I also have to recommend Ibrahim Gusau for bringing this initiative. And if he continues this way, I think our league is going to be up to standard.
Still on you. You are a product of NIS. That's the National Institute of Sports.
Yes.
And people say what the NIS brings out all the time is not the best. I mean, in terms of coaching,
Yes.
that's opinion, that's not a fact.
Exactly.
You know? In terms of coaching, in terms of how good our coaches are. And what do you have to say about coaching system in the country in terms of the new interim management committee?
Yeah, with the new interim management committee, I think the coaches have this free hand and mandate to operate in the best realm. Compared to the past, where the coaches are not given this free mandate to operate, most of the time you see the management giving coaches, players, giving coaches, they're giving directives to coaches on what to do. And that has always bring the standard of coaching in this country to the minimal level. But if this committee will give an equal share, equal right to all stakeholders, from the coaches, the club owners, and the refereeing, and everything is being put in place, and the league will move, and the coaches will come out at their best.
Okay, Jide, the league seems always lack sponsor all the time, because we know that a lot of them, it's not going to be difficult for the IMC to have a sponsor, knowing the bad image, quote and unquote, that the previous management of the league, that's LMC, has. Don't you think it's going to be difficult, or how many years or how many duration period of time do you think we can give them for them to be stabilized in ensuring that the league comes back to normal? Because I think it's going to be a very big task for the IMC to make a change around in our Nigerian league.
Very, very true, Mudash. Very true. It's not going to be tomorrow. Our league is not going to get better tomorrow or even next year. The rot in the system is very deep. You are not going to be able to weed out bad referees or bad coaches or bad administrators overnight. I want to touch on what Joseph said.
Okay.
The education must be 360 degrees. The administrator in charge of a club must understand what it means to administer a club, not because he's a politician. And that's the only place that he can occupy. The general manager of the club must understand the club. Let's give ourselves examples. If Steven Gerrard were a coach in Nigeria, do you think he will be sacked? I mean, the kind of legendary status he had as a player, do you think he will have been sacked?
Definitely not.
Some people will have met overnight and said, don't spoil his team, don't do this and all of that. But everything is on merit. The owners of Aston Villa backed him up to £400 million and expected an uptick. Immediately they didn't get the uptick, they told him, please go. But because they told him to go, they will pay the rest of his contract, Mudashir. They're not going to say they're not going to pay his contract. They will still pay out his contract. Those are the things that Joseph is saying. But you don't put a manager in place and then recruit 40 players for him to put. He doesn't have any input. You recruit 40 players and you then tell him to coach the players. It's not done that way, and that happens a lot in Nigeria till now. So those things we are saying, it is for the IMC. You know, when the rule is a rule for everybody. When they say that at the beginning of the season, you can only register this amount of people, and this is this amount of money that a player must receive, and to go through it, and you relegate sides who don't comply. Mudachi, if you do it this year and do this season and do it next season, everybody will sit up. People who want to put money in the system know that, there are reasonable people around. Let us put money there. But as of now, it will take grace and a lot of convincing. Maybe some people who know the the NFF president, one-on-one, will say, okay, let us take a risk on this vector. But we will not get the value. Nobody is going to value the MPFL 1 billion right now. So you still get some pittances, but as long as you work on that system, in 2 years' time, you get real value for it.
Yeah, it's still on you, Jide. We know that crowd encroachment has been a problem in the league. we have incidents where the referee is beating when the whistle is being blown against the home team, and secondly is winning at all cost syndrome. I think that seems to be a problem, that the home team must win because most times the referee is always in favor of the home team. These two things are issues when it comes to crowd encouragement. Do you think this coming? How do you think this coming interim management committee should manage this, knowing that Nigerians fans are so unruly sometimes based on losing? Yeah, because that's obviously the right word. You understand?
I don't agree with you, that's true.
Okay, so why did they do that? That's why I'm asking you. Why did they do that all the time?
The thing is that there's something called, you put rules and regulations in place. And the thing that makes it work is that you police it correctly. There's no league in the world where fans don't want to beat referees. The only thing is that the system does not allow it. That's the only reason. In youth games in the UK, they are not getting as many referees through the system now because some parents and whatever and guardians are cost referees during youth league matches. Because the security is not in place to protect the referee. And that is what is not in place in Nigeria. If a referee knows that there's nothing that will happen to him if he blows fairly, there's nothing that will happen. He will blow fairly and he will leave the field of play unscratched. So the problem is policing. You do not, that's why what Joseph said called education. The people that police events or sport events are different from the policeman the normal policeman in the police station. It's not the same. You don't just draft in policemen from the police station on the day of the match and say they are policing the match. No. You know that there's a head of security in CAF, but does the NFF have a head of security who goes around and teaches how to do this? So those are the things. Education is the major thing. Everyone has to be educated. When you know, you know that people abuse each other online now. But people are getting lifetime bans from clubs. That you cannot come to the stadium for life just because you tweeted. Not that you beat referee. So if you touch a referee, you should go to prison. And if they send 1, 2, 3, 4 people to prison, 10 years, Mudajiru, I'm telling you, even you want to beat the referee, you will think that that's 10 years prison. No. You will not touch the referee. You leave the referee alone.
So why don't we implement this? It seems we all know so much about how the league is meant to be administered. Everybody seems to know, stakeholders, but enforcing the policy seems a very difficult.
Why is Nigeria not Dubai?
Okay. I think that's for the economics. I'm still on you. Let me come to Joseph. Joseph, why? I don't want to ask you why Nigeria is not Dubai, because that's not what we are talking about. But why is it that what we all know, we don't implement it when it comes to enforcing the rules of the league management? There's a framework. So why is it difficult?
We all know the rules. We all understand the system. But the major problem we have is greed, winning at all costs, either good or bad. That is the major problem we have. If we can do away with that, football is a fair game. It's a game that brings people together. It is meant for unity. It is not meant for division. But because we have this greed, the stakeholders are all aiming at what they can gain and not what they can offer. That is the reason why the system is remaining this way. Unless we are able to do away with that, the system will remain the way it is.
So what's the major problems of the league? Major, because I know referee is part of it and others, but what's the major problem of the league, so that I hope that the IMC can actually solve it? Because the Nigerian league has a lot of problems. The crowds, the referee, not payment of salary, contracts are not done properly. So what do you think is that one thing you can remove so that the league will be effective? Because the league will soon start, a lot of people are saying, should it be an abridged league? Some are saying it should not. So what is that thing? Because whether you like it or not, sooner or later you might get unemployment from the league. So what do you think is that major issue?
Free and fairness. That is what we need. Stakeholders should take away their hands from the league and allow the league to operate like every other European nation, like every other leagues in African country. I always admire the leagues from the North African.
Okay.
If I'm to be given a job in North African league as compared to that of Nigerian league, I would definitely run to a North African because I understand that their system works. They have a standard and they abide by it. If this is not done in this country, our league will remain the way it is.
Our league will remain. We only hope that the LMC. Jide, I'm not sure you know so much about the club owners. That is one thing that I find it difficult to have in this part of our world. Where does that come from? Club owners, where does it come from? Because we know that we have the likes of, I've forgotten his name right now, that is the secretary of the Club Owners Association. We also have the chairman of club. Who are the club owners? Because I know that the clubs are owned by the state government, except Lagos. Kano Pillars is owned by Kano state government. We also have Eyimba owned by their own state government, and also Kebbi United and some other states are being owned. But who are the club owners? These are individuals. Are they registered? Are they known? Who are they?
Okay, so I know who owns Raymond Stars.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just my answer. The other people, that's what I mentioned it earlier. It's a political system. We cannot have football clubs owned by politics. Football is an engagement of the grassroots plus the community in which it is based. It cannot be about who is governor or who is senator or who is the local government chairman. And that is where everything is wrong. That is where everything is wrong. Because in politics, there's only one thing you want to do, is to win. And it is to win at all costs. Not using principles, best principles or best practices. So as long as we are trying to put politics in football, like Joseph said, we will not change. We will not change but if you become a club owner, what you are trying to chase is a business model. You want to even if you are going to lose money for the first 10 years, you know that at a point in time you are going to break even. Look at somebody like an ABA FC. You know, the man does not struggle to play in the NFL, MPFL. He does not struggle. He has a business model that is working for him. So whether he plays in the MNL or NLO, if the business model is performing, that club is owned by Churchill Olise. And it's a business model. And it is successful.
But can we separate politics? Can we separate politics from football administration in this country? Because at the time, under Unduka...
separate politics from sports.
Is that possible?
Right now, I don't see it. I don't see it how. You know, Mudashiru, you are just asking a rhetorical question. Right now, it is not possible because who pays the piper dictates the tune.
Okay. There's also a time that the league management, then default league management under Unduka Rabo, said that, like you mentioned, community, that football is for community, that the community of each football club should have a share of the, like, Kano Pillars, people within Kano vicinity of where the club is located should contribute so that 50% can be owned by the community, while 50% might be owned by the private sector and all that. And all this framework doesn't work in Nigeria. Should we pass a policy?
We've not allowed it to work, Mudashiru. We've not tried it. We've not allowed it to work. If I'm given a share to buy out of stationery stores, I will buy. I will buy. And immediately I buy a share of stationery stores. That means that anytime they are playing and I'm able to be present in the stadium, I will be there. That is why Nou Camp is always filled up. It is owned by those people. So it is their money that they are coming to watch. But if I'm told this containers with everything that they are doing, they go and bring 40 players from everywhere. They do all. Why it's not community based again. It's just a political system that they make work. They tell you that they spent ₦1 billion on shooting stars last season. And you're like, inside your mind, you're like, how, where, when? So that's the problem. As long as we continue to have this kind of people saying that they are the owners of clubs, we will not go forward. It's as simple as that.
And let me also tell you this, that with your explanation and people watching us across the globe, there is probably not going to be any hope for the...
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I know you didn't say that. I know you didn't say that. But because now it's the sport ministry that has given the NFF the Interim Management Committee. So everything that will be dictated from the IMC, don't you think there will be undue interference? How independent is the IMC? I'm going to come to you, Joseph. Let me just hear what Jide has to say.
So, Mudashiru,
yeah,
you're a media person, so I would love you to answer this question. How independent is Nigeria 62 years after independence?
I'm sure that'll be for the economics, but but for
are we truly independent? Are we truly independent? Can we do anything on our own? Right now, can we do anything on our own? We can't, Mudashiru. And football is just a minor part of that geographical entity called Nigeria. So if Nigeria is not working as an independent country, how do you think the NFF is going to work? Or the IMC? Okay, maybe Joseph has an answer to that. Joseph, the IMC is a proposed plan by the federal government under the 10 years master plan that things will change in Nigerian football. The LMC that was there before, the league management company, has been removed because they have not been working. Yes. And they now inaugurated the IMC. The inauguration of the IMC happened yesterday or some days ago. Yes, yesterday. And why the new president of NFF, Ibrahim Guzo, inaugurated the IMC, where we have notable stakeholders in that committee. How independent do you think the interim management committee will be, knowing that it's the sport ministry that gave that constituted that board?
Well, until the federal government take its hands away from sport, will still remain the same. Federal government has always been the problem that the sporting system of this country is always having. Unless they are no longer interested, they are no longer part of it. They give the sport ministry the free hand to operate, especially the NFF, the free hands to operate. We will still linger within the same circle of political system in this country. Sport has been politicized, like Jide has rightly spoken. Unless we are able to be independent as a sport or footballing system or footballing nation, then we will never move away from where we are right now.
The reason why we are dwelling so much on this is because every day there will be a league in this country. And the Interim Management Committee will be saying whether they are real or not. But for Nigeria, can it ever be separated? Because I know that in America, there's other sayings claim that politics and football, we have major individuals handling sports. But can we ever have that situation in this country? Or do you think the federal government should pass a bill that will stop government should hand over sports entirely?
Yes, they ought. If we want the system to work, it means we have to go beyond the normal. Just tell the federal government to hand over the system. Allow the sport ministry to be an entity of itself, just like every other nation. It's going to take a while, though, but if we are able to put systems in place, gradually we'll get to the promised land. But with what is happening right now, I doubt if we can be able to be up to standard like the other footballing nation.
I'm worried now because I'm worried, and I have to be a bit personal with you.
Yes.
You're also a product of the NIS.
Yes.
You be outside there. Are you going to do anything different? I mean, personally, I mean, if you are now going to have a match between Eyimba and Kano Pillars, you've been appointed as the football coach of Eyimba. Are you going to say something above your regulators? Are you going to say something above the management of Eyimba if you see things are not right? Or are you going to, because you talk so well, and I feel that we need people like you in that system. How long can you hold on to you and against the system?
Well, if I'm given an appointment, And I discovered that your system is not in place with the regulation of, with the rule and regulation of the sporting ethics. The simple thing to do is resign. Just resign. If I resign, and definitely they will ask me, the press will ask, why did you resign? And I'm able to tell them this is what the system is all about, and this is the reason why I resign. And
other clubs are hearing. Other clubs employ you.
That is
I'm
why
coming to Jide.
That is why I made mention of, if you give me a job in Nigeria as compared to other African countries, I will quickly accept the next African country. Yes, because if the system is not working, automatically I'm diminishing my career as a coach. But if I resign, and the world knows that this is the reason why I resign, if you will not employ me in this country, the next country that have a system that is rightly in place, that the system is working, will definitely look for me.
Okay.
And I will work.
Jide, you are a veteran when it comes to media. Beyond football, Jide Alaka, a well-known name. Now, Jide, what have you done? I've asked him, what have you done to make sure that, to checkmate these excesses in your own field? Sorry, I'm in a position to ask you.
Yes.
I'm sure you won't be asking me what I've done. The program doesn't entail me to say what I've done. But Jide, he has said that he was going to that, talking about Joseph. He said that when he gets to the system, he will make sure that he does the right thing. To you, what have you done in the past, and what do you think you do to make sure we check these excesses?
Okay, very good question. You're putting me on the spot, but I have an answer because I actually prepared for this.
Okay.
The thing is, what I found over my years in reporting to Nigeria is that the focus has always been the administrators. The administrators, that ones that are able you either with match, and media people are interviewing general manager, not the players, not the coach. Nigeria wins, I will take school in the Commonwealth, and 75% media share about what the Minister of Sport said. So for me, in my own little way, what I have done over time is that in any sport I report, I look at the participants. I find the participants, the athletes, the coaches, and the infrastructure. Those are the things I report on most. So you will not see me in any caucus. You won't see me, you won't find me in any caucus, because what I do is not the right thing to do in Nigerian sports.
Okay.
But that's what the athlete grows up and becomes a star. That's my joy. Not if the administrator grows, becomes okay. So for me, what I've done over time, I will do much more right now in the future. Report about the athletes.
Yeah.
The rules and regulations,
yes,
the infrastructure.
Okay, Jide, obviously, I'm sure all our viewers are engrossed with what we've been talking so far, and I'm sure the conversation will continue on other social media page. Thank you very much, Jide Alaka, and I'm sure I'm going to check some of your works, and a lot of people will check your work to really confirm your statement. Thank you very much, Jide Alaka, for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And Joseph, I'm sure, thank you very much. I'm sure you are one of the new breeds of coaches and football administrators who is ready to take Nigerian football to the next level. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yet, I'm sure I've enjoyed the show so far. I'm sure a lot of you that watch from across the globe. If you want to be part of the show, don't forget you can join us on all the social medias and you to enjoy the show. And this is all we could take on today's segment of the show. I want to say thank you for being part of the show. Same time next week, we'll give you all what you need to know in the world of sport. Bye for now.